Welcome back to It's Not You, It's Your Trauma. I'm Joe Ryan. If you're looking for more information about me, you can go to joeryan.com. If you want to subscribe to every episode, you could do so through Apple or Spotify. If you're stuck, you don't know which way to turn or how to get out of where you are, want to work through your family system role, I do coaching. You can go to joeryan.com/coaching. All right, here we go. If you grew up in a shame-based family system, you are littered with shame. Shame is that dull ache that protects us from the hurt and the pain and neglect. Shame-based family systems are extremely critical and judgmental. And as a child, you had to listen to people being torn up, verbally torn apart and criticized, because they didn't do things the way your shame-based family system did it. See, if you're shame-based, you need to recruit people to think like you think. You only hang out with people who identify with the ways and means and being as you are. So when you listen to this over and over growing up, of people being ripped apart and criticized, you internalize that negative critical parent and you judge yourself in a similar way. Shame wants to be hidden. We don't want exposure. We don't want to be seen because we fear the critical judgment that we think we're getting. How many times have you been out socially and gone home and went into this sadness, this depression, this fear, this shame, because you feel like everybody has the same point of view of that negative critical parent that now lives in you? I've been doing this work a long time, and this is still one of the most difficult parts for me. I'm out with friends. I am having a great time. And then I get home and my mind automatically starts running through the entire evening. The conversations, what was said, how I was perceived. You see, if it's not done perfectly, you go right into shame. Perfectionism is a result of shame. See, you can't be less than 100%. Otherwise, you get tapped inside and you start to spiral. It's almost like walking around like you're a celebrity without the fame. Celebrities are just under the eye of the world 24/7. They can't go to the supermarket or walk their dog without having pictures taken. And if they're not done up, they show up in these rag magazines being trashed for how they look. That's what it feels like when you come from a shame-based family system, that you are under this microscope of judgment. The thing is, we are truly, really the only ones that are judging us that harshly. And as a child, when you hear the criticism of how people are and the way they do things, if it doesn't go along with the way your family system is, and you don't go along with how your family system is. I mean, you go along, but it doesn't feel right. And you try to fit into this shameful perfectionist box, and you don't. And it feels wrong inside of you. You think something's wrong with you. Why can't I be like the rest of them? Because you're more authentic. Because you feel on a different level. Because authenticity is extremely important to you. But we don't know that growing up. So we learn how to hate ourselves for not being the way everybody else in that family is. And we try to obtain that picture that they had set of what is a good, happy, well-adjusted person. We don't want to be criticized the way others were criticized. So we give up who we are and become what the picture that was painted for us is. And we're not living our own lives. And some people will go their entire existence not knowing that they're living a lie. They have bought into the system. You see, we look like the broken ones, the defective ones, the unhappy ones. The thing that makes us unhappy is we're living up to a belief system that isn't ours. We didn't create this belief system. We were born into it. And we were shamed and guilted into becoming what that belief system needed. You see, if they're all shame-based and they don't feel good about themselves, they're going to have a kid and they're going to turn this kid into a model citizen that they can show off so they have something to feel good about. Because there's nothing else in their life that they do that makes them feel good. They can control and manipulate you into becoming what they need you to be. And you feel like shit about yourself. And for most of your life, you're going to try to obtain that picture. I know what the picture is for me. I worked my ass off to get it. I had it for about an hour and a half, and then I lost it all. And that's when I bottomed out. And now I don't have anything close to what that picture is. And I've never felt better about me. See, it's not about filling that picture. It's about filling yourself up, filling that hole in your soul. You were never allowed to be you. You were never allowed to go with sadness or hurt and have somebody be there for you. So there's an emptiness inside that you want filled. And we think it's creating that picture, obtaining that picture, working towards that fucking perfect picture. Well, I worked towards it. I got it. I had it. And I can tell you this, it didn't make me feel good. I was not happy. There was an emptiness inside. Because it wasn't authentic. It wasn't what I wanted. When I got there, I was expecting this confetti and balloons and everybody loving me and healing all my wounds, and it just doesn't. The only way to fill that hole in your soul is to get in there and start patching it up. To start going into the places that you hurt, that you avoid. To start dealing with the shame and realizing that this isn't your shame to carry. Shame rolls downhill, and whoever's more powerful will put it on the person who is less powerful. You see, if I became what my family wanted me to become, I wouldn't have felt so shitty. But it wasn't who I was. I wasn't smart enough. I wasn't strong enough to become what they needed me to become. So there's an acceptance of who you are that is so much of this healing. People looking on the outside of the way I live my life from my family system, I'm a fucking failure. I'm an absolute failure on paper. And that's the way I had felt unless I achieved and reached this certain level of financial security and success. And I had the clothes and the car and the watch and the vacations and the family and the home and all of that shit. That somehow magically it was going to take away my self-hate and my shame. It doesn't. That picture is not your picture. That belief system is not your belief system. We live in an insane world where we value things that mean absolutely fucking nothing when you get to your deathbed. We put no value in things that are soulful, that are real, that are meaningful. And you don't fit into that world because that's not you. You feel on a deep level, which makes you the oddball, makes you the person out, and it makes you feel isolated. Because everybody's doing it one way, and there's these isolated people all over the world who don't feel like they can share who they are because it's not socially acceptable. It's not acceptable to talk about your sadness or your hurt or your disappointment. So we put on a mask and we pretend. We have to build our own belief system. And going against your family system and being an individual and challenging that is going to upset people. They don't want it because the more you change and the more you become you, the more they're going to have to look at themselves. And they don't want to do that. They want to look at everybody else and judge and criticize them so that they feel important and they feel superior. There's nothing more damaging than a person that thinks they're right all the time. That closed-minded, narrow-focused belief is so damaging to a child. There's no room. You either hit the mark or you fail. And then you take that with you, thinking that that's the only way. You don't grow unless you fail. You can't pick yourself up if you haven't hit bottom. You have to learn how to work through these feelings. There is nothing outside of you that is going to take your hurt and your pain away. Period. End of fucking story. Stop trying to please them. Their love, attention, and affection is not going to heal. It's a fucking Band-Aid for a gunshot wound. You have to find what you believe in to be your truth. And when you were taught that what you believe is wrong because it doesn't line with what they told you you needed to be, how long are you going to keep living the lie? How long are you going to keep feeling the judgment from yourself and from others because you're being you? You know, my family, you brought the wrong fucking cake to a holiday. As soon as that person left, they got torn apart. I was afraid to leave the room. I have separation anxiety. Most of my life, I didn't want to go out because I couldn't process the feelings and emotions afterwards. If I said something stupid, even if I didn't say anything stupid, I would run it through my head of how everybody was thinking about me. Like, that's insane that my brain is wired that way for protection. Because I don't want to get caught off guard. I don't want to be humiliated. I want to call everybody up that was at the fucking party the other night and ask them, are we still okay? Did I make an ass out of myself? Did I say anything stupid? Do you view me differently? Like, that's fucking exhausting. When you don't know who you are, those are the questions you ask. But when you start to know who you are and you become okay with yourself, that starts to subside. It doesn't go away. None of this goes away. You never get there. It will always be in you. It is your first language to self-hate. And when you're in certain situations, that first language is going to start speaking. This never ends. The work never ends. It gets easier. It gets manageable. But you got to fucking start somewhere. You got to start taking a look at yourself and your life and your family's belief system. Start asking yourself, why don't I feel good about myself? What am I trying to achieve? What is the goal? What is the picture that's in my head that I get to and I'm going to feel good about myself? Because you're never going to get there. You're never going to obtain it. Because even if you get there, it doesn't take it away. This is all inner work. Nothing outside of yourself is going to take it away. And the sooner you start dismantling that family system, belief system, and you start building up your own, the sooner you're going to start to feel good about yourself. The sooner you're going to start to experience joy. Because the unhappiness is you're not living up to what you were told you need to live up to. Who the fuck made those rules? Who says they're right? Because they were shamed into becoming what society said was acceptable. There's a certain way that you need to act and perform to be loved. The goal is to arrive at okay, to wake up every day and feel like you do not have to prove your worth and value. That's where you want to get to. And then you get there and you sit there for a little while and you enjoy the shit out of the hard work that you've done to get to the point where you just feel good enough. And then you figure out where you want to go from there. Because it's never going to be enough. Because you're going to get bored. You're the type of person that wants to grow. that doesn't want to be stagnant, that doesn't want to arrive at a place where there's no flexibility, that you live with this flow chart in your head, that it all has to be done a certain way. There's no joy, there's no spontaneity. That rigid life that you're trying to create to feel safe is a fucking prison. That belief system is a prison. That family system is a prison. The door is wide fucking open. You just have to find the courage to walk out of the cell. And nobody wants you to leave it. You don't want to leave it. Because as damaging as it is, as unfulfilling as it is predictable and safe. That doesn't equal joy. You learn to be safe within your body, not what you surround yourself with. Thanks for listening. You can contact me at joeryan.com. Follow me on Instagram at joeryan. And if you want, you can leave us a review on iTunes. That'd be great.